Manhattan Sideways is a website where you can discover the hidden gems of New York City.
The way that I originally came up with the idea for Manhattan Sideways was honestly just me having a passion about side streets and small businesses and wanting to learn about them myself. I have walked and biked 100 blocks from the East River to the Hudson River. And now, every week, several days a week, I'm out there, sometimes by myself, sometimes with some of the members of the Manhattan Sideways team, and we literally walk into every single place and we document everything on the street. We're most interested in trying to find those places that perhaps don't get the attention that they deserve, be it a bar, be it a restaurant, a paint store. We've had fun in so many different places. And we go in and we try to chat with an owner or a manager, and we learn the history of the place, what inspired them to open. We're always very curious to find out why they chose this particular location and how they find having a small business on a side street in Manhattan.
Every 1 to 2 weeks, we launch a new side street, and that's every place on that street from east to west. So you can really get to know the character of a street or a neighborhood through the personal articles, through gorgeous photography, and through behind-the-scenes video content.
The premise of beginning Manhattan Sideways was to just give more exposure to the side street businesses. And I will pursue that for 155 blocks, and for as long as it takes me. That is my dream. That is my passion.
Hi. How many of you have ever tried changing your routine and traveled down a different street home, or taken the time to explore the neighborhood surrounding your office? I began walking the side streets of Manhattan some 4 years ago. From the East River to the Hudson, I have documented each and every shop, boutique, restaurant, bar, garden, hotel, museum, and so much more on my website, manhattansideways.com. My objective is purely to bring attention to the side street businesses, to give them the exposure that they well deserve and do not always receive. I started my journey on First Street, and now, together with the Manhattan Sideways team, I am pounding the pavement every day, discovering incredible small businesses that are the fabric of New York. Presently, we are up to 72nd Street, with over 11,000 places featured. In addition to having all of the businesses listed, complete with phone number, web address, and hours, visitors to the site can enjoy our thoughtfully researched write-ups, also known as side pics. There are close to 25,000 photos and 50 behind-the-scenes videos. Manhattan Sideways is devoted to promoting the side streets and their businesses to everyone, from New Yorkers themselves, who I have found don't often take the time to discover what is right around the corner from where they live, to those traveling from the tri-state area, other parts of our country, and from abroad. Every day, I am working and walking to highlight the people and places that are the essence of our city. Sadly, I'm witnessing shops in business for 50 to 100 years being forced to close their doors to rising rents, demolition, or the competition of giant chains. Lately, I've been finding that the small businesses aren't even surviving a year on the side street. It is my dream, my passion, to have New Yorkers support the staples in their neighborhood and find the amazing gems that are hidden on every single side street, as they are what makes and have always made Manhattan unique. My journey has allowed me glimpses into the lives of iconic New Yorkers, such as Ruth Kuzub, who is here today in the audience and is the owner of the Silversmith on West 4th Street, considered to be the smallest space in Manhattan. She's been operating her jewelry store since she took it over in 1960. She continues to make her own wares and only sells pieces that she loves. At 85, she still goes to work most days, at least whenever the sun is shining. Yes. Another story that continues to resonate with me is that of Lulu Button. Roz Ferrardi, also here today, arrived in New York from Iran in 1978. He had applied to universities in the States without discussing it with his family. Roz told me that when he let his mother know that he had been accepted at Brooklyn Polytechnic, she asked, "Where is America?" As Roz tells it, she spoke no English and did not write, but she took her jewelry, the only possession that she had, and sold it. She gave the money to her son and sent him off to follow his dream. After earning a degree in engineering, Roz began working for a company on Fifth Avenue. During his lunch break one day, he wandered into a shop and picked up an interesting button and inquired about purchasing some of them. When he learned that it would take a few weeks for the buttons to arrive in the store, Roz immediately thought to himself, "I'm going to make these myself." Today, some 20 years later, Roz has a small but successful store on West 38th Street where he designs and makes buttons for the fashion industry, many of the shows that we see on Broadway, the Metropolitan Opera, New York City Ballet, and of course, anyone who happens to stop by Lulu Button. Even Roz has felt the strain on his business. He told me recently that he had to give up his workshop space around the corner. The rent had been raised too high. There are hundreds of other fascinating characters like Ruth and Roz scattered throughout New York. I am able to return to these familiar faces since I am constantly rewalking the streets in order to keep up to date. Some faces, however, I don't see again, with so many businesses being forced to close literally on a daily basis. Each summer, I hire interns to help me rewalk the side streets, checking for what has opened or recently closed. One day, at the beginning of her time with me, I received a phone call from an intern telling me that she was standing on the west side of 30th Street and staring at a big hole in the ground that covered the entire block. "Betsy," she cried, "every single business is gone. They have all evaporated into thin air. What should I do?" It was so sweet, and she sounded truly shaken. I calmed her down and explained that this epitomizes what has been happening throughout the city, and that we would now need to, unfortunately, delete each of the businesses that were once there on our site. It was a teaching moment for both of us, and one that provided even more fuel to my cause as a champion of the small businesses. Utilizing our website is easy. Through our advanced search feature, Manhattan's Sideways users can find places by street, neighborhood, or categories like nightlife, education, food, and fashion. Additionally, every vacant building and for rent space is listed. The Manhattan Sideways team keeps up with the constant ebb and flow of openings and closings with the care of a concerned neighbor. Our work is never complete. I am not a food, art, or fashion critic. I speak from my heart, telling the stories that the owners share with me, simply trying to advocate for each and every one of these side street businesses in a positive yet honest light. I hope and believe that by drawing people to Manhattan Sideways to read their stories, we can create a different future. Thank you so much for allowing me to share Manhattan Sideways with you, and I hope that I've inspired each and every one of you to get out and walk the side streets of Manhattan.